And so, here we are. We have the truth of the prince. Prince and Will are now one and the same. The attack on the prince inside the royal palace led to his aides to conclude that the capital was no longer safe for him, so they secretly moved the prince to the ancient Elden Sanctum to continue recovering. Alas, their Elden techniques were not enough to lift his curse, and he continued to decline until falling into a coma. However, he had guidance from a mysterious voice and an indomitable will that would not see his ideals abandoned. Through these, a new body made of magla was created, much like the dragons of yore. The prince's spirit inhabited this new body, and he started another life as an entirely separate young man. That young man, oddly enough, pursues a journey to change the world, something the prince likely would have wished to take on had he been well enough. Yeah, that is literally, the reason why Will did that, because, again, he is the prince's D&D character. Through that journey, the young man came to know the truth behind everything, and after his spirit returned to his body, he could then reveal himself publicly as the prince once more. Oh yeah, we've got Russell's here too, yeah. An elderly Ujif man first encountered in the ancient Elden Sanctum. Alongside Grius, he was one of the aides who elected to secretly move the prince from the royal palace, and is the last of them remaining. A renowned scholar of history and politics, he was employed by the royal palace as the prince's tutor. While charging a Ujif with the royal's education was a highly controversial decision, it serves to demonstrate the ambitions that the former king had in his lifetime. Ones he seemed to have abandoned later. So, also, from now on, any footage of this game is gonna inherently be spoilers, because, yeah, we have white-haired Will for the entire future. Every single artwork of him in the menu is gonna be white-haired, and whenever he awakens to new archetypes, he'll also be white-haired. So yeah, spoilers are very much unavoidable. I do appreciate the fact that the official guidebook, once you get to this section, it will say, be careful because it's impossible to hide any spoilers in the screenshots from now on. And I don't think it's quite the same thing as a Persona. It's definitely similar to Jungian concepts. Russell's like, there's been too many plot twists.
All very nice.
What's interesting is just that all the Elder here, besides their lack of the other features of the tribes, they look pretty much the exact same. They reuse all the same models. And I feel like that's fairly intentional, just to show that they're just people like everyone else. Well, June is still alive. Unfortunately, Grius isn't. Well, Gallica's friend fell into a pond. At least that's better than, getting trapped in a sugar and honey trap and falling into the holy water, and it kills him dead! Kills him dead! That was such a genius move from Brendan Lee Mulligan in Critical Role Campaign 4. We've got almost kind of like a church pew-like structure here. Does seem like this place has, like, religious significance to the Elder. Yeah, they have faith leaders. The late queen, huh? Yeah, we're definitely getting an indicator of, like, who that person that Will suspects might be the voice is.
Oh, it's you!
I feel like our fairy is the one most likely to be making loud noises. Okay, I already talked to you. So, the funny thing is, I, in my first playthrough, did actually talk to this guy and go to the shop here. As we'll see a little bit later in the story, after, like, one more cutscene, the game clearly does not expect you to use this shop now. It only expects you to use it after you've gone through the next scene, so... But, I mean, you can still do it. You can buy Revival Medicine, you can buy Miraculous Medicine. They even have some new weapons. None of them have any special effects, but they're probably a little stronger than what we currently have. Something to mention is that if you can afford it, it might not be a bad idea to buy a Seeker weapon right now. You can also buy some of these, but yeah, most of these are just, Magic plus 7 is kind of solid. Everything here is just, stat boost. I kind of prefer the, purple and gold rarity equipment, also High Gallica. And let's move in. And if you are playing this game yourself, I'd recommend allowing yourself a lot of time for these scenes, because, this is gonna take a while.
Wow.
This is the moment where plot explodes all over the place. You will be seeing a lot in a short span of time. Well, I guess since fairies are sort of immortal, okay, like Gallica's more like a person now. Cool.
Wow.
Another thing I also feel, I don't think the game expects you to talk to these fairies before you go through the next cutscenes. But I like to do that. We'd just like to head over here and speak to the other fairies that are able to say things.
Oh, it's you. And yet...
Well, this place is pretty attuned to magic, as we've found out. See, one thing that I do like is the game does actually let you go over to these murals and look at them before you actually talk to Gyrude. And there's an image in one of those murals that the significance of which is really only obvious if you've got Juna's bond up to rank 6, so that's a nice bonus to those who've actually raised her bond that far. So they kind of let you form your own conclusion on what these murals are yourself, and then they let you talk to Gyrude and hear her just spell them out directly. So here we go.
Does this depict the Elder tribe? Elder comes from an ancient word, meaning only the old ones. It was an alias given by our ancestors to outsiders who visited the village in the distant past.
Elder is the one tribe that does not derive from a Japanese word.
As for our original name, you know it well by now. We were humans.
The human tribe. So Luis's words.
There is no human tribe. Tribes, as we know them today, did not exist then. We were all one people. Humankind.
A world united. But wait. The ruins on Virga Island. There's nothing left of the civilization today. Was it destroyed? Why? How?
A war. One that all but destroyed the world past. But its destruction was born of the discovery of Magla. Or as you call it today, magic. Do you wonder what they battled over? Without the divided tribes, what could they have disagreed on?
Oh, I wonder what they could have possibly disagreed on. What possible reasons could humans have waged wars over when they were just humans?
They were racked by division. Over the abstract, undefinable idea of rightness. They tried to destroy something invisible, and destroyed only themselves. And any idea of absolute rightness is born of fear. That fear flooded the world, and gave way to war. And their age of prosperity came to be called the world before. The people we now call tribes were either born of artificial division for the sake of the war effort, or natural adaptation to survive the hellscape after.
Unbelievable. We've met plenty of people caught up in pointless conflicts. Given the choice, I know they'd rather live in a world without tribal division. And yet the truth is, that world's already fallen apart. More than that, it's how we all got here.
And of course, tribes are obviously a metaphor for cultural and ancestral divisions in the real world. It's kind of that whole idea of like race as a social construct that's mentioned in political theory. That's pretty much what the tribes are. It's all just the exact same, and therefore the exact same racism still exists.
Such drastic physical changes would normally have taken eons to effect. Accelerated by Magla, however, it was only a matter of a scant few centuries.
But yeah, magic obviously accelerated things along.
You understand now, yes. We, the Elder, are the survivors of the old world. Our ancestors fled the flames of war and thus escaped the ensuing divisions.
So essentially the Elder are people who lived in nuclear shelters while the whole magic war was going on. And so none of them got any of the adaptations or mutations the other tribes did. That's why they're the one tribe that looks like normal humans, because they are the closest thing to normal humans by our standards.
It beggars belief. Tis nothing short of astounding. But then, why do we know these monsters as humans?
Well, I personally think the reason for this, in a metatextual sense, is as a kind of deconstruction of inherently evil races in fantasy, of being like, well, how would you feel if one of those inherently evil, monstrous races was called humans? Because, you know, you could just do that, and that's kind of the same thing as making an entire species in fantasy inherently evil.
By the war's end, both sides were consumed by fear. Their magical assaults escalated with each retaliation, until it was beyond all control. Our world became a hell.
You know, this is also just making me think of the fact that, like, these kind of, you know, after the end worlds where humanity destroyed itself in a massive war, they're really common. And the reason why is that wars pretty much existed for as long as humanity has, and fictional authors always tend to think of that worst case scenario of what if one of them escalates to the point of no return? What if one of them goes the distance and actually wipes us out?
Rampant magla distorts the body and mind. By now, I'm sure you know that better than you ever wished to. Humans are what remains of that branch of humankind that succumbed to melancholia. Broken, horrifying testaments to their own mistakes in the war of magic.
So this was implied all the way back in the Dragon Temple, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of you in the comments already put 2 and 2 together there, because we saw that half of the original people evolved into the tribes, and the other half, well, they all mutated into monsters, which, yeah, those are what became humans.
Some persist, breed, and multiply as any beast does. Others live centuries of agony before their lives burn out. Even we do not know the full scope of their nature.
And this leads to some interesting things about the human bosses that we fought, though I think I'll actually talk about that one a little later.
Regardless, when the 8 tribes settled in this land, our claim to the human legacy was forgotten. To the people, the name only meant slavering, insane monsters. Therefore, we took on an alias instead. The same one by which we are known today. The Elder.
So, the old world couldn't control its magic, and... Wait. How does the Sanctist Church fit in? All this revisionist history to spread their magic igniters.
Indeed, what are magic igniters to you? Tools for the Church to shackle the people, perhaps? Or weapons that hide magic's true potential? Am I close to the mark? In truth, it's the opposite. Igniters are tools made to limit magic. Restraints made in self-discipline, meant to avert a repeat of history's destructive mistakes. The Sanctist Church of today is muddied by greed. But its faith was born of good intentions. They once urged self-control, and thus control of one's personal magic.
And this also is just, like, this is such an interesting angle for a JRPG, because, yeah, the church was founded on some kind of ancient conspiracy, but it actually started with good intentions. Originally, it was about, hey, let's actually not, like, explode everything with magic like we did last time. And okay, we've invented these things that can control magic so that we can still use it, but it won't, you know, get as destructive. But, as is typical, I think somebody in the comments actually said this, and I really like this quote. The moment you start to mix religion and politics, you get politics.
At times, they preached we must close our eyes to the truth when it would only lead us to ruin. By this benign tenet, history was obscured, and the Elder denounced.
And yeah, what started with good intentions went, actually, let's not know the truth, and then that distorted itself into, well, if we're telling the public not to know the truth, then that opens up the opportunity for us to create truth that we could use to control them.
I had no idea. There's a grim irony in that.
So essentially the Sanctist Church in its current form entirely arose out of mundane corruption of its institutions, which is, again, very unique for a JRPG, because most of them will just chalk everything up to the religion is bad because an evil god founded it to destroy the world.
His Majesty only hid his son's ancestry to protect him. Yet in the end, that meant Forden could attack the village under any pretext he liked, his motives concealed.
Well, actually, Forden didn't really have a pretext. It was all just, he just wanted to kill the Elder because he hated them. And, well, the prince was in line for the throne, but it's hard to tell which was the main goal there. Cementing Forden's claim to the throne, or just genociding the Elder because of racism.
With all that said, you have now reclaimed your true form. The friends that stand with you are of different tribes and ideologies, but of one mind. As you are now, you may walk the path of the rightful king. The path of a modern world, where the tribes walk as individuals, yet with mutual respect and cooperation.
The sovereign's power. Thou king to be, entrusted with the will of the people. To bear their hopes is to be their rock in the storm, and to face anxiety in their names. Yet, anxiety itself is not something to blindly reject or desperately cast away. It begins with a simple thing, acknowledging its existence. Accept thy weakness, walk forward alongside it, and thou wilt grow strong and true in its company.
And besides,
we have our final archetype, Will's ultimate one. I didn't list him having any requirements on his bio, but I never said he didn't have one. It just didn't have any requirements. We get it automatically over the course of the story. This is the Prince.
Prince!
At last, Will has awakened to his ultimate archetype, or should I say, the one he should have had all along. The Prince. It has balanced stats in all respects, but is unique in a few ways. It starts out resisting light and dark, and eventually learns a skill that has it resist everything else except Almighty. But what the game doesn't say is, it also has a resistance to all ailments. Except for Burn and Frostbite. It's a lesser resistance than the Faker and Trickster archetypes, but it still cuts the odds of those ailments by half. Prince also has 2 hero passives. It learns its second one at rank 9. It essentially combines the boosted odds of support attacks from Seeker with the HP and MP management of some other archetypes. The Prince uses the same weapons as Seeker, but can equip any armor, and after achieving 80% archetype mastery on Will, you get a helmet that only the Prince can use that grants 1 extra half press turn. Just thought I'd mention it here, as it is technically a unique ability of this class. But in general, once you have this, you're likely to be using it on the field for the rest of the game, because the Prince is straight up the best possible archetype for Will, no matter what your build, because its main attacking moves, Heroic Slash, Royal Slash, and one of its synthesis skills, scale off of whichever of strength or magic is higher. Note that they are considered melee attacks, so they do more damage if you're in the front row. They're also only affected by charge, not hyper, even if your magic stat is higher. Both of these also deal 1.5 times damage to humans, including boss humans. And that's going to be important going forward. But the rest of its skills are also incredible. Heroes Proving is expensive, but instantly gives Will max stacks of all 3 buffs. Radiance is locked to being magical, but it's a fairly strong all-targeting light attack. And Heroes Cry gives you 4 additional turn icons. Think of this like being able to use Dragon Eye from Nocturne whenever you want. And unlike the charge and hyper skills, this time the translation is not lying when it says once per battle. It really does only work once per fight. But there are other methods to gain press turns that this stacks with, so it can break the game in hilarious ways. Prince's other unique property is in synthesis. When other characters are using their archetype synthesis skills, Prince can fill in for the requirements of any other archetype. Think of it like a wild card. And speaking of wild cards, its signature synthesis skill, Royal Sword, can be used with any other character, regardless of their archetype. It is the strongest of the strength or magic scaling 1.5 damage to human skills. Now, because both this and Royal Slash are almighty, taking Will down the final form of the Merchant line is recommended to get access to the Almighty Boost passive. Prince's other synthesis skills are a greatest hits of a bunch of other archetypes. Or rather, they come from Knight, Ninja, Summoner, Berserker, Masked Dancer, and Warrior. Having come this far, Will's learned something from every member of the party.
Let's do it. Let's fight.
That's it. I've made up my mind. I'm with you to the end, no matter what.
Where's this coming from?
Before we got there, this guiding voice thing told me my duties were over. But what am I gonna do? Just go, okay, bye? Especially after we've come this far together? No. I'm going to face Luis with you, even if it is scary.
Even you've got to cope with anxiety, eh?
I've realized something in our travels. Anxiety can lead people astray. But overcoming it makes a person stronger.
This aspect with the main theme of the game, like, I like it in this context, but I almost wish they chose a different translation for the word, because I'll talk about this more later, but I suffer from an anxiety disorder. I cannot overcome my anxiety. It's inherently part of me, and it will stay with me for my whole life. And unlike the anxieties they describe here, they aren't rational fears about things that are really happening. They're things that will always be in my head, make no sense, and I can never get rid of them. So, yeah, I'll talk about this subject later, but anyway. Unease, fear. I feel like fear's probably a better translation, but I'm just biased because of my own particular experiences.
There's always anxiety in the unknown. I know what it's like to be afraid of something I don't understand. That's why I think it's my duty to help people face and connect with their anxiety. Is that okay? From now on, it's not about orders. I'm with you, because I want to be.
I like that positive spin on the voice saying your journey is at its end. And originally you're like, wait, what? Does Gallica no longer... Especially if you've read the memorandum and know that fairies die when they no longer have a purpose. But actually, what it means is, your mission's over. You're now free to live your life however you want to.
Yeah, I want you by my side until the end.
Same here. Stick close to me, okay?
Well, we're past the worst of it, but the problem remains. Luis's dark magic. We've seen it turn the boy into a monster, and no doubt he can do it again.
I think we're about to be introduced to yet another one of the amazing plot points in this sequence.
A forbidden spell, turning sane mortals into the fearsome human monsters. In other words, a destabilizing magic, turning a person's magla into a snarl beyond control. This man named Luis, he may have his own past in this ancient sanctum.
Luis has been here? What do you know of him?
What do you wish to know?
Yeah, here we go. The forbidden spell of Zaharos.
What is this forbidden spell?
The essence of magic is in the control of magla. However, just as its chaos may be calmed, it can also be deliberately pushed out of control.
Basilio did hint at this earlier after he joined, that Luis was working on some dark arts.
That was what you saw. He whipped your innate magic to a frenzy and you were lost to melancholia. Just as the humans of the ancient war once were. In every age, the cause and effect are the same. People learn fear, become slaves to their anxiety, suffer, and thus, the power of magic is born.
Pardon me. You mean to say anxiety is the source of all magic?
Magla is a substance born of the heart, generated when one feels anxiety or fear. By certain means, it may be kindled into power. That is what we call magic.
So this is metaphorically the idea of facing your fears, or the idea of the fear of something actually giving you the courage in your own convictions.
In this way, it is by virtue of the anxiety in our hearts that we gain the power to overcome it. Magic is a natural process, and anxiety is its invaluable, irreducible fuel.
But yeah, like, again, this here, the anxiety wording is just, it kind of makes this game's themes not really hit for me in some regards, just because of just my own condition.
But in turn, those burdened with more anxiety and fear produce more and more magla from their hearts. Without the willpower to face your fear, the magla overflows. Uncontrollable by magic, it can give rise to strange and terrible happenings as it manifests, with the world embroiled in chaos. These outbursts of swollen magic may be happening all across our kingdom.
In a way, though, this itself is a metaphor for whenever there are times of great, like, political unease and upheaval in the world, it can result in people acting irrationally.
It is the answer to everything. The melancholia crystals, the beasts driven feral. The very land is erupting with the weight of its people's fears.
And that's why all the dungeons we visited were full of monsters and had all those triangles flying around. It's no coincidence those are the same triangles that come off of us when we do Bond conversations. Because every one of those dungeons was at a place where it was either a source of fear of, like, local beasts like those forests, or it was the source of a great tragedy in the past.
Hold on. If Luis's art is rooted in bringing out this chaos, then anyone might be next. He said he became a monster because he's elder, but that wasn't the complete story. If what you say is true...
Indeed. All people today are ultimately descendants of humankind. If Luis so chooses, he could turn anyone into a human monster.
And that right there is, to me, Luis's most insidious, quote-unquote, lie in this story. And it's one of the most dirty and underhanded tricks that he uses in his race for the throne, I feel. So, he technically wasn't lying when he said that Will, as an elder, was a remnant of humankind and had the potential to turn into a human. He just left out the part where that's also true of everyone. So, yeah, and also not even that, but like, if we look at everything metaphorically, what Luis did there, and this is why it's just, I call it insidious, because he just talks about equality, but like, what he did right there is pretty much a metaphor for literally demonizing somebody because they're a minority. Like, that's what he did to Will. He's like, he's an elder, look, therefore he's a monster, and I'll make you see him as a monster. And then everyone's like, oh look, he's a monster. They don't realize the fact that, actually no, everyone has the potential to become a monster. That is true of real humans in the real world too. And yet, that's what prejudice does to people. They convince themselves that only certain people have that potential in them. It's just, like, this is why I really like that scene with, like, what Luis did there, to Will as, like, a villain. It's, oh no, maybe it's my favorite metaphor in this game called Metaphor? I think it is.
Yet as long as you have the strength to confront your fears, even this transformation may be defied and overcome.
Like, it almost, this is a kind of an aside here, but it reminds me of there's a thing that I read about, this story about a black man who convinced hundreds of clan members to give up their robes, but there was a conversation that he had with one of them where, like, one of them was talking about how, like, oh, you must have, like, latent genes that make you, like, evil and they haven't, like, triggered yet and stuff. And then this guy brought up, like, the story of, like, a white person who became a serial killer, and then this guy's like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be a serial killer because like, I'm white like them. And then this guy said, well, I guess your genes are latent and they haven't triggered yet. And that was the moment when he stopped being a Klansman. Yeah, so... I know this is kind of a heavy discussion, but, like, it is that thing of, like, oh hey, only certain people, no, actually all humans have the potential to be monsters.
What do you wish to know?
But that also means all humans have the potential to not be monsters as well, and I think that's the other side, the gaining archetypes.
Who exactly is Luis?
Every time I heard of his doings in the wider world, I felt more and more sure that Luis is from this village.
He definitely talks as if he knows things that he would only know if he'd been here.
His knowledge of humans, his skills in magic, his grasp of darker arts. They're all beyond a mere soldier to begin with, however prodigious.
Or, you know, you could just say what I was just saying.
As it happens, a name does occur. Among those old families who perished in the fire, there was one by the name of Caradrius, a family of doctors, I believe. In an effort to better heal the ills of the people, they had studied spells much like the ones he now exploits.
And this right here, this is that plot point that I was saying that I was excited to get to. I don't know why, but I have always loved the idea of villains in fantasy settings who exploit, like, healing magic. Or not even in fantasy settings, the idea of, like doctors, the fact that medical knowledge, like that kind of knowledge, if someone like that goes bad, they can invert everything they've learned about healing and use that to harm instead. I've always really been fascinated by villains like that in media.
The details are long since lost to the fire. But if Luis bears our legacy, that may be the reason for his vast knowledge.
I mean, there's also the fact that he named his airship the Caradrius. Certainly that's just a coincidence, right?
Wait. What about Luis's ambition? The vision Rella saw? Do you think he actually wants to turn everyone in the kingdom into humans?
There is no known magic strong enough to turn many people at once, and none that can be cast quickly.
Even if it was possible, I don't know what it would accomplish. But this is Luis we're talking about. Who knows what he's thinking?
But if he would turn people into humans, if in the unlikely event that happens...
If there is any motive for such cruelty, it can only be hatred. If Luis is truly from this village, then their fire would have cost him everything. Such unjust tragedy could easily beget a thirst for revenge.
So we are starting to see hints of this, but I'll discuss this later because, even if Luis does have a tragic backstory, it in no way excuses what he let it turn him into.
Even if it meant wielding a magic that twisted life into something terrible, instead of uplifting it. Indeed, it seems the opposite of an archetype. A truly dark power.
Yeah, you'll notice the same lines on Will when he turned into that monster. Luis is inverting this idea of archetypes. He's turning people, like, he's doing the I just kind of realized this. He's doing the opposite of, like, what the prince is. He's turning people into the worst versions of themselves instead of the best.
Who goes there?
Okay, there's Heismay's hearing coming in clutch again.
Someone flees!
That's him. The malformed assassin who struck at the prince. He's bound for the woods.
After him!
Okay, Neuros' run there is kind of silly. But yeah, that was a lot, obviously. The truth of melancholization, Luis's dark arts. Yeah, this one, Magla's nature, the origin of humans. And yes, we now know the reason why all these melancholia crystals are appearing around the world is because, everyone in the kingdom is freaking out. Things are really, really bad in Uchronia, and that's what's causing all of these things to spawn. Yeah, like that right there kind of implies you're only supposed to start talking to the fairies now. Huh. Yeah, interesting. Oh, right, by the way...
What now?
We have a new archetype in our list, the Prince!
Behold, I walk a royal path.
And, yeah, let's keep the Moss Caliber for now. You know, if you had any archetype experience items, you might be able to give them to Prince now. I feel like you're intended to level it up naturally over the course of this next fight that's about to happen. Also, we can just talk, even though there's as crazy stuff about to happen, we can talk to a bunch of people here, who mostly just say, the assassin, he fled that way, go after him. My hood is clipping through your face. But in fact, let's actually manage the party for a moment, because, I'd like to bring Yufa here, and I think Juna too. You know what, let's just bring all the people who did not get to fight Luis last time. So I get to let the whole party get a chance in these major story fights. Yes, he murdered the prince, but I lived. You know, I just kind of realized that there's a bit of a parallel between what the protagonists of Persona 5 in this game go through, but that's spoilers for Persona 5. If you're somehow watching this and not having played Persona 5 or watched my playthrough of Persona 5, which came earlier, which I'm pretty proud of, actually. I hope I can one day look on this and be as proud of it as I am of Persona 5.
No.
I mean, at least he didn't kill you. So, you should count yourself lucky in that regard. I don't know why he ran away, or maybe he's just scared of us.
Ready?
So yeah, might be a good idea to make a save here.
Ready?
Stop!
And we skip going through the entire staircase. We're just gonna confront him right here.
You... Zorba.
So it was you behind the attack?
Indeed it was. I killed the prince, though he died all too easily. And the odd thing was, his aura felt awfully similar to yours.
And you could sense those auras thanks to your Mustari third eye.
So I decided to bide my time a while and listen. And it's a good thing I did. There really is something stranger going on.
Also, the way that he rolled his R there was actually kind of cool.
Who are you? Are you the prince or not? Whatever your answer, I must report back to Lord Luis.
Do you have any idea what Luis is really scheming? If he becomes king, everyone in this country is doomed.
If that is what Lord Luis so desires, then I shall see it done.
It's almost impressive how blind your faith in him is.
I suppose it's just easier to follow instead of thinking for himself. He's forgotten anything he really wants.
Yeah, Basilio and Fidelio are, the good ending of Luis followers. And here we see the bad ending.
What did you intend to do? The crown is too heavy a burden for your reedy frame. Lord Luis is the true king, who will save the worthy. And you are nothing but a powerless imposter, only fit to be sacrificed.
He is no imposter, fiend. His Highness has finally taken his first steps on the road to victory. Here, at his journey's end, after enduring these countless hardships, he has become a true successor, a true ruler. Because he knows the people's suffering firsthand.
And yeah, Hulkenberg there is just summing up all my reasons for why I don't think Will being the prince is a bad plot point.
Well, imposter or not, it's all the same if he's a corpse. And so I shall return the prince and his dying legacy to the underworld, where they belong.
Bastard! I wondered why you ran away, but it was all to lure us straight to this monstrosity.
Keep your guard up. The Melancholia is fueling his magic power.
We've come too far to be stopped by something like him. Let's put our power on full display.
And we have a repeat of the first thing we fought after we awakened. How fitting it is that it's the first thing we fight after we truly awaken.
This guy shows up again just when we've unlocked some new power. Kinda feels like fate by now.
Oh, Gallica could just say what I was saying.
Okay, time for a new fight. Stay on your toes.
Prince archetype unlocked. Yeah, I just showed that in the menu. It can act support for all your synthesis skills. I will have already said that in the bio. It has unique traits not found in other archetypes, but none of its skills can be transferred. So at this point, Prince is pretty much locked in as your endgame archetype on Will. And the rest of Will's archetypes are all about giving Prince more skills.
All right, let's take it down and then get after Zorba.
Also, yeah, we are unlocking a bajillion synthesis skills. So,
Hold on. Time for some close combat.
remember that because Prince remember that, we will need to be in the front row here because Prince is not, the, sniper archetype. By the way, this is the reason why I said we're going to be retiring sniper soon.
Looks like we can't brute force through this one.
And yeah, here is the Homo Gorleo 2.0. We can still attack the legs and wings. So I hope you remember the weaknesses from their other aspects.
I'm all prepared.
But yeah, we have a whole lot of things here. Royal Sword is the most interesting one though. Severe almighty physical damage, increases damage against human-type monsters.
I leave it to you.
So yes, behold, I walk a Royal Sword path. This archetype is just insanely cool in like every single respect. You can actually steal from it, so I'm gonna do that just so that people don't complain about me not stealing from it. Luis had no steals, by the way. Meanwhile, this thing does still have some wind weaknesses.
Don't let up now, Juno.
This is the power said to belong to
So we now know that the, I believe it's the, yes, it's the wings that are wind weak, so let's summon an eagle lion on them. This is the other reason why I wanted to bring Yufa in, and Juna. Lots of wind damage. Prince also has a wind magic skill, but I think it doesn't learn it until a little later. Okay, one of its appendages just died, but it's still eating its apples. Oh, right, I was actually going to talk about a theory that I have about humans. So, we now know that all of these human bosses we've been fighting may have actually been people at one point, and I kind of wondered just what kind of people that these humans were. Some people even suspect that the giant baby human that Joanna was with actually was her child somehow, but I'm not sure about that. I think the child definitely died, and I think you have to be alive in order to undergo melanchalization. It's also implied that the Homo sabara in the sea around Brilhaven has been there for a long time, because the murals seem to depict the dragon god and the Mustari fighting against it. But yeah, let's have Gallica knock down the apples. Fairy Slash!
Now it can't heal itself anymore. Don't waste your chance. Get in there.
Okay, so can't heal itself.
Come forth.
Let's see. Physical slash turns one enemy, boosted damage against humans. I am in the front row, aren't I? Yes, I am in the front row, so let's go for the legs. Okay, Heismay. I wonder if... Actually, I would kind of like to have 2 press turns by the time I get to Juna, so she can maybe go for the summon Eagle Lion. Actually, no, I don't think I have the required archetypes for Eagle Lion King. Oh, wait! I do! Because Prince counts as a wild card! So... Don't go into the front row, though. So... Shipping time. Ultimate secret attack. What if Will and Yufa kissed while Giant Griffin destroyed monstrosity?
I destroyed it.
I will fight with pride.
Well, yeah, that certainly did something. Oh, and I still have enough press turns left to Royal Sword it. I kind of looks like it's scared now. So yeah, now it's stuck with weaker attacks. Notchblade Spin, Notchblade Slicer. I honestly do not really care about anything it can do at this point. This fight is really just like a, Blood Rain Tree, no. Let's actually go for a Formation of Vigor now. But yeah, this fight is really just an excuse for you to show off your newfound powers. It's basically just a victory lap for the Prince archetype, and for anybody else that you want to use in your party to obliterate this thing. I'm gonna pass and do another Royal Sword. So, I will have already mentioned this in the bio, but what Royal Sword's description doesn't tell you is that, well, the wings are back, but, like, its main body is almost dead, so it's probably still gonna die soon. That's only gonna restore 1,000 HP, which I can out-damage with Prince, so yeah, fine. But yeah, Royal Sword scales off of whichever is higher out of your strength or magic. So, it doesn't matter whether you've invested in strength or magic on Will, you will always be dealing, like, the best possible damage that you could of any attack with that, so, yeah. Okay then. Let's go for, your attack is all the way down, but I would appreciate if you got some more defense debuffs, actually. So let's go for Corrosive Acid.
Behold this power.
And we can hit a press turn weakness with that. We can do Summon Eagle Lion King for even more damage. And I'm gonna walk this royal path all over your face! There we go. That was a weird one-liner, but I'll take it. You know, I want to say that in my first playthrough, I actually got an unscathed triumph from that fight. But we do get a drop from that, the Wind God's Gale. I think that's probably guaranteed. Also, this thing looks so goofy when it's dead. But yeah, Wind God's Gale's a very interesting weapon, because it boosts wind damage, which the Prince archetype has.
I admit, it's...
Power I am most certainly...
I'm better and stronger.
Oh, I felt bad that Basilia wasn't in that fight.
The bastard got away.
Yep, brave Sir Zorba ran away.
I say, you chaps boggle the mind. It's no mean feat to fight on even footing with a human.
Well, we have anti-human skills now, so it's fine.
I'd hoped as much. You may yet have the power to face Luis at his full strength.
It's good to see you're safe. We've certainly taken these powers a long way. Maybe we thought ourselves invincible. But don't worry. At long last, the Prince is safe. In a manner of speaking. Everything's going according to plan.
Still, what's our next move? The people think you a monster. Will not find any public backing like this.
Alces once said, that His Highness the Prince was a soul born into adversity. He is royalty and elder both, heir to the legacies of heaven and earth. He is water and fire, in condemned conflux. When the day comes that His Highness may be revered as the good ruler he can be, then the world will truly be free of prejudice. And that, he said, is why we fight.
And maybe it will be an even bigger sign of anti-prejudice if he were to marry a Mustari. Just saying.
In his own words, huh? We have to fight for what he believed in. All the more reason we can't turn from this.
Right.
And that's also, like, that line right there kind of almost sums up a major theme of this game.
Come what may, my life is a shield raised in your highness's name. Are you prepared to fight Luis to the bitter end?
We fight him together.
Yes. By our efforts, we will stop Luis's reign.
If he ends up king, he'll be sending all traitors to the gallows. Not just us, but any innocent folks he doesn't find use for.
Look, I'm never giving up hope either, okay? All we have to do is beat him, right?
Looking forward to the victory song.
Well, we've got bigger things to worry about now. But I can't wait to sing it.
You... I'm still amazed. You really do look just like your mother. Truly, you are a child of fate. Your mother, she loved your father, and you with all her heart. The injustice that befell this village is not your fault. But listen well. Once you leave this village, you cannot return until you have fulfilled your ambitions.
So, what you're saying is, get that gold beetle now, or it will be gone forever.
After all, an old crone like me can't take care of you forever. If you want to overcome your hardest challenges, you'll have to face them yourself. The world's fate is in your hands. Please, put an end to the tragedies of humankind's failures.
Thank you. And for everything.
Our final battle lies ahead. We cannot lose. Yet, before all else, His Highness has only just awoken. Let us rest in the Gauntlet Runner for today, and advance to the royal capital tomorrow.
The royal capital where everyone hates us? Sure, yeah, that'll be fine.